So, one of the clarifying questions that a victim of abuse can ask themselves is this person treating me like an adult? Because abusers are often not aligning with reality. So, you could be a grown person, like you could be voting, you could be filing taxes, you could go off and die in a war somewhere, and this person might treat you like a child, and that you have no ability or capacity for making decisions for yourself. They're going to stand on possibly the fact that you're wrong and you shouldn't do it this way. And I have this different idea about how you should live your life. And I'm going to come in and act like you are not a grown person who can make decisions for yourself. You can also get where this gets shifted in the wrong direction depending. So for example, if you're a child and they treat you like an adult, well, they shouldn't be treating you like an adult because you're a child. However, at some point they should be preparing you for adulthood. So not treating you like an adult, but teaching you how to be an adult and giving you opportunities to practice those skills, right? This is very context dependent. So you can get an infantilizing abuser or you can get a hyper parentifying abuser. Whatever it is, the abuser is like inappropriate for the situation. So if you are a grown person and you have an abuser coming in and they are either treating you like you're not an adult or they're making you responsible for themselves and they're acting like they are not an adult, right? If we're all adults, we should all be doing adult things, making adult decisions for ourselves. And sometimes those decisions aren't going to be optimal or correct. And we get to do that. We get to make decisions for ourselves that maybe are not optimal or correct. We get to be wrong. And again, this isn't because victims of abuse are wrong. It's because victims of abuse are being told that they are wrong. So learning that you get to make wrong decisions for yourself can help you start to protect you inside of your own mind about what decisions you're allowed to make because you are the allower, not some other person. Now, I will say this does get tricky when you have one person who is providing the financial standing for you. So if you are a younger, well, not just a younger person, if you are someone who's grown, but for some reason are not financially independent, this is often where the other person will think, oh, I don't have to treat you like an adult. I can tell you what to do because I'm the one who's paying the bills. And the thing is, they're grown. They don't have to pay those bills if they don't want to, right? Uh, they're paying those bills. They made that choice. So holding that over your head is a manipulation tactic. Now, this does get tricky. I will say if you have a stay at home parent and a working parent, a lot of times that dynamic drifts into, well, I'm paying the bills. I'm basically like the employer. You aren't doing anything, you aren't doing valid labor, but at the same time, I don't want to do it. So you need to do this. And also I'm not going to pay you anything and you're not entitled to any of the money that I make. Like that's what a stupid on its face, just so stupid. Because the labor is financially worth money. If you had to replace it with a person from the marketplace, it would cost bonkers amounts of money. Um, so you can have people that are misusing their position and weaponizing it against you and acting as if you don't get to be an adult and make decisions for yourself and to have access to the money, which is wrong. So, like legally, at least in the United States or most Western countries. So, when you're starting to think your way through kind of like the relationship dynamic that you're in, you don't want to be someone else's parent. If you're not their parent, you shouldn't be acting as if you are their parent, taking on their emotional and logistical problems for you to solve. Can we be support to people we care about? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, are they an adult? right? We want to think about that. Are they treating us like an adult? Are they treating us like more than an adult? Like we are their parents, but not just a parent in an adult relationship, but like a parent that you would have when you're a kid, when you're a child. The parent that just comes in and fixes everything for you. So abuse dynamics flip relationships. They're upside down from what they should be. And then people have bad boundaries or bad understanding of what is reasonable and appropriate in the situation and dynamic. So as you're having these conversations with yourself about what the abuser is telling you, just remember, I'm grown, I'm an adult, I get to make decisions for me. And anyone who loves and cares about me would want that for me. Because do you want to sit there and tell another person what to do? Not really. At least most reasonable people don't. That is a chore. That is not an exciting activity that makes one feel powerful. So I will give an example. My grandmother, she was a hoarder, or pack rat is what they used to call it back in the day. And so it runs in my family. Every single person in my family, every single one is a hoarder or has hoarding tendencies. So like I have the hoarding tendencies, but I ruthlessly suppress them. And if they ever start to get out of line, I watch an episode of Hoarders and I remind myself like no. But anyway, so she was her home situation was not amazing. But she was living by herself and she wasn't bothering anybody. Her son, one of her sons, wanted her to move up to where they lived because they were like, "Well, you're old now and you can't take care of yourself, and the house is bad, and you need to live up here with us." Okay. And my grandma loved them and did not tell them the truth, other than that she did want to move up there. But the truth was that they were also hoarders and they had like a ton of cats. So it wasn't just hoarding, they were hoarding animals. And so she was like, I'm don't want to move up there. And so I had to have a conversation with my aunt because there were several of them that were trying to override her free will to make her move up to this place. And I said, listen, she is mentally sound and is making her own decisions. She's not harming herself or others. And she actively does not want to make this move. She is not interested in doing it. She wants to stay here. And so we're not going to override her authority over herself to make this decision. There's no reason to. She's not showing dementia. She's paying all her bills. She's adulting, making adult decisions. And the hoarding situation wasn't one that was dangerous for her. Just wasn't great. It's not optimal. Would I make that decision for me? No, I don't make that decision for me. But that's what she was doing. That's what she wanted to do. And so I had to have a little convo with them. Like, she's grown. She's grown and she still has full mental capacity. And you trying to force her up there is not respecting her free will and autonomy. And until she's in a position where she cannot take care of herself, which is not what she's demonstrating, then she gets to stay where she is. And I will go in front of a judge to attest to that. Because how are you going to make my grandma move for hoarding when you're a worse hoarder? I'm just saying, like, come on, guys. We're not moving her to a better situation. They just wanted to have control over her. And genuinely thought that they were doing it in her best interest, but they weren't interested in what she herself actually wanted. And again, when you're dealing with people who are elderly, this may not be the specific calculus for that specific situation. But in my grandma's situation, she was still ticking along, sharp as a tack, handling her business. So if she wants to have a bunch of VHSs with carefully documented things that she's taped on it and have way too many of those and stuff like that, like that's her business, not my business, not their business. Anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I'll talk to you next time.